Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's demo session. I hope you're all doing well and your day has been good. My name is Agama Jisuobo, and I am the community lead for Unit Masters. Today, we'll be having our presenter come speak to us today and also share with us how to create a Polkadot wallet. Hello, Alex. Good to have you here today.
Hello, Agama. It's really nice to see so many people here and nice to see you as well, obviously. But just give me 2 minutes because for some reason my camera won't start. Just 2 seconds because it says for me to restart something. So I will be back in 1 minute.
Great. Thank you, Alex. So everyone, it's great to see you. Like I said earlier, it's great to see you here today. Special thank you to the study group leads who lead the study group sessions, ensuring that they are able to support the peers as they learn blockchain fundamentals. If you're a study group lead here today, please put a reminder in your study group chat to let others know that the Friday demo session has started. Okay, so while we wait for...
I think, okay, now it works. You can see me, right?
Amazing.
I'm not sure if it is fortunately that you can see me or unfortunately, but you can see me.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course, I'm just joking, of course. Hello, everyone. It's nice to see everyone here and everything. Today, I'm going to show you also a way to open a Polkadot.js wallet. This is another, let's say, wallet within the Polkadot ecosystem. The reason that we're learning about, how to open a new one is, first of all,
I'd like to do a bit of an introduction, right?
Of course, yeah, sure.
Who haven't met you before, those who are just joining Unit Masters program for the first time. So like I said, Alejandro is our guest presenter for today. He's the marketing manager of Blockchain Netherlands Foundation. Alejandro holds a bachelor's in international business management and is currently pursuing a master's in blockchain and digital currency. He also happens to be the partnership and grants manager of Unit Masters. He holds the Chartered Blockchain Expert Certificate, and his professional background is in PRO, marketing, event organization, and open public blockchain. Alejandro fell in love with cryptocurrency because he values individualism, freedom, financial inclusivity, and censorship-resistant apolitical money, as he believes that a handful of politicians, no matter the country, cannot represent and decide for whole nations of millions of people. He hopes by using this technology, he can help build a better financial world than the one we currently live in. Amazing bio, Alejandro. I think this is an opportunity for you to actually put your love into practice while showing us how to set up a wallet using the Polkadot.js.
Indeed.
Thanks for joining.
Thank you, Agama, for the wonderful introduction. And as I said before, that the reason that we're also learning how to open a new Polkadot.js wallet is, first of all, because this Polkadot.js wallet is like this Polkadot wallet is like the original Polkadot wallet of Polkadot, let's say. So it's not private, let's say, wallet. It has been created and it has been created sort of like a public good in some way. So it's not owned by a private company. It's like from the Polkadot ecosystem as public. And the way that you can basically interact, it's also an alternative way of interacting with the centralized applications on Polkadot. as a, as an ecosystem, of course. And for the moment, at least, it's better to, let's say, if you would like to send money in a decentralized way, it's better to use perhaps Polkadot than Ethereum, especially layer 1 Ethereum, because you have gas fees in Ethereum. And whenever you want to send to someone, if you're lucky, you will pay, let's say, $3, $4, $5, right, as a gas fee. If it is, let's say, bull market, or if there is a lot of congestion within the network, you may end up paying $20, $30, $50, even $100. I have seen in the past people paying, and I paid myself sometimes because I wanted to buy an NFT during the bull market, and I always had to account sometimes $50 or $40 or $60 upfront. But with Polkadot, you just pay a really small fraction of a few cents, and you can send it within seconds, let's say, anywhere around the world, of course, as well. So let's start with this. Before we start, so far, does anyone have any questions about the wallet or anything else that they would like to ask before I start sharing my screen? If you do, raise your hand. For instance, Amnon has his hand raised, but in a digital way, of course, not in the picture. So yes, if you have any questions, raise your hand. If not, I can continue.
Okay, so there are currently no hands raised here.
Okay.
And yeah, no questions.
All right.
In
wonderful.
the chat.
Yes, wonderful.
Go ahead.
So let me start by sharing my screen. Let me know if you see it. Yes, wonderful. So I have two browsers on. This is a Brave browser that I am using, let's say, every day. And then I also have the Chrome browser. The difference here is that for my personal use, I already have the Polkadot wallet here installed. Here I don't on Google Chrome. So we're going to go through Google Chrome. And then what I'm going to try and do is use the wallet that I have on Brave to send money to the one that I have on Chrome for you to basically see, and something that you could basically, of course, use as well. So let's start, right? So you go on Google or any other search engine that you would like to use. You write Polkadot.js. JS stands for JavaScript, I think. Don't quote me on that though. So click on this, and here you kind of get into a screen where you have the app wallet, which is the hosted. Then you have the apps wallet IPFS. You have certain extensions that you can use, phishing, documentation, and code. Now, of course, because we do not have that much time to go through all of this and for me to explain what each one of it does, you can perhaps afterwards either Google and see what each of them does, or just click on them yourself and explore and everything and see how it basically works. But in order to install a hosted wallet, meaning, of course, that you control the wallet, and in case you lose the private key, you lose the wallet, you click on this here on the apps wallet hosted, and you go into the Polkadot, let's say, Explorer and Polkadot.js Explorer. And here you can basically see that, you have kind of like Explorer, staking, parachains, and all of this. And here you have accounts, basically. As you can see here, there is a test account. Perhaps I was doing another introduction to this, but normally I don't have anything installed here. So this is a bit odd. Anyhow, so you kind of can see here, normally you will have this is a multi-signature wallet. This is completely different. So normally, as you can see here, you would have your own personal, how do you call it, account or wallet installed. I'm just giving you a little bit the interface before we install the wallet itself. And here you can see address book. This is, think of it a little bit like when you use a bank, you have like your book, your how do you call it, your contacts to whom you can send money, right? Someone you can have, let's say, you can have the IBAN perhaps of your mother, of your father, of your girlfriend, wife, husband, boyfriend, or any other, let's say, sibling or friend, of course, right? So this is a bit like this here. I still don't understand. Yeah, anyhow, it's a bit odd this time that it's working like this, but let's continue. So you have the address book here. This is basically my address that I have of my personal, let's say, wallet that I have installed here on Brave. And you can basically, as you can see, you can send it to someone. You can forget this address, sort of like delete this, and you can do a different other stuff as well. You can claim tokens if you would like, if you have some, let's say, airdrop or something, you can claim tokens here and transfer. So let's start by installing the wallet itself. So what you do on Google or any other engine is Polkadot.js install and installation. No, normally they have changed. The interface has changed a little bit. Polkadot.js extension. Yes, thank you. So you will Google Polkadot.js extension. Apologies for the small mistakes, but they have a little bit, like the interface has changed a little bit. So you would Google Polkadot.js extension. You would go on the very first thing that comes up, which is polkadotjs.org extension. You can see here download for Chrome or download for Firefox. Of course, if you have Google Chrome or Brave, in my case, you use Chrome. And when you have Brave, you use Chrome because Brave is based on the very same technology that Google Chrome is based. So the system recognizes Brave as if it is Chrome, although it is not Chrome, basically. And then if you have Firefox, of course, you click on Firefox. We click on download Chrome. Here you go to the Chrome Web Store. And if you're using Firefox, it would be, I suppose, how do you call it? The Firefox store, or I'm not a user of Firefox myself. So there should be a very similar way of installing it. You go to add to Chrome. You see here, you can say cancel or add extension. You click add extension. You see here, you can read and change all your data on all websites. You click, and you kind of now installed it, right? Has been added to Chrome. You see it has been hidden here in the extensions. So you can click on the extensions. And here I have MetaMask as well. You can unpin or pin it. As you see, when I unpin MetaMask, it also hides. If I pin it, it comes back up. So in this case, since we're doing Polkadots, I would pin it. And if you would be using it every day or every other day, you can pin it here instead of always clicking on extensions to access it. So you click here, and here you see you kind of get, before we start, just a couple of notes regarding use. You kind of can read these, of course, afterwards in your free time, but at the same time, it just says that, it doesn't use any trackers or analytics. So it's sort of like very private in terms of privacy, of course, as well. So then you click understood, let me continue. And here you can add your account or your wallet, right? It says you currently don't have any accounts, create your first account to get started. In order to do that, you click on the plus here. here you see basically, you know, the account that has been created, and here you have the 12-word mnemonic seed phrase. As you probably know by now, you have to take this phrase and store it somewhere entirely safe that no one else has access to, so that if you add money there and someone gets access to the 12-word mnemonic seed phrase, they can't take the money off of you, let's say, right? So you take, when your 12-word seed phrase is generated, you just copy to clipboards, or you can just copy it on a piece of paper or something else, of course. But in this case, since I'm not going to be using it, I can copy to clipboards and add it somewhere. Then after you've written it and everything, you can click here. I have saved my mnemonic seed safely. I will still add it here in the tab. I don't think we will need it, like the mnemonic phrase, but in case something goes wrong during, you know, this, we have it in order to get back into it instead of creating a new one. So we have it here. So let's go back to the, wait, that's odd. So normally, okay, I'll just copy it in that case. I have saved my mnemonic seed safely. Next step. Here you can choose whatever chain you would like to use, right? As I said previously, it's for the whole Polkadot ecosystem. So you have the Polkadot relay chain. This is the main Polkadot chain. You have Kusama relay chain. This is basically the main Kusama chain, but Kusama is basically the same as Polkadot, but it's the test blockchain. So whenever something new, they would like, if something new needs to be implemented or something, or to be tested, everyone is using Kusama instead of Polkadot, right? Then you have Akala, Astar Network, Basilisk, Bifrost, and so forth, Picasso, Polkadex, Mainnet, and all the different blockchains built on Polkadot, right? But let's allow use on any chain. This is the most simple, but if you want to be more specialized, sometimes you can use one of these, of course. Then you can write a descriptive name for your account, just Alex's wallet or account, however you would like. I like calling it wallet. You can add a password. This is not the mnemonic phrase, as you know, but this is more like when you click on this, the password, they will ask you for a password, which you should be able to add. So for instance, let's say you have your wallet here, right? And then you lose your laptop for whatever reason, right? So whoever has your laptop, they will not be able to access your wallet as long as they know this password. It's not the same, of course, as a mnemonic phrase. So you click, let me put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 0. Please don't put something like this. It's such a very simple password, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 0, 9, 8, 9, 0. It's just for let's say for this, as I'm showing it to you. Normally, this is not a very good way of security or cybersecurity, let's say. So what I would suggest is just use something a little bit more complex or much more complex, so that so someone doesn't just do something like, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and they get your password, of course, right? So add the account with the generated seed, and here you basically have the wallet. So now how we use this wallet is we go here, accounts. I should be able to, yes, allow this application access. It asks you to get access. And here you see now my Alex wallet extension, right? And here, what you can do also is, as you can see, you have basically Alex wallet extension, but you can also, in this case, you write set on-chain identity. This means that your wallet will have a name, the name that you will basically add yourself. You can, because this one, Alex wallet extension, let's say, is visible only to you. To everyone else, they have this public key, right? So when you add a set on-chain identity, it's sort of like they see a name that you put in. It can be your real name, it can be sort of like a nickname, it can be anything basically, right? But this is basically something that everyone else within the block, within the Polkadot ecosystem would be able to see, instead of just seeing your address, which might not really tell them that much, right? Here you have delegate democracy votes. So as you know, as you may know, like how Polkadot works is that whoever they are going to change it soon so that it's more democratic and open. But now how it works is that whoever holds some Polkadot, they have a voting right towards how the protocol can change or cannot change. Let's say there is something that someone proposes within the ecosystem, you can either vote for yourself whether you would like to see this change or not, or you can delegate the democracy votes to someone else. This means, let's say, you have a friend who really likes voting on stuff on Polkadot, you can delegate the votes to them. And in case, let's say, your friend, you do not like anymore how your friend votes, there will always be sort of like a redelegate democracy votes, meaning that you take the vote back to you, and then you can delegate it to either another person or just use it to how do you call it, to vote on certain stuff yourself. So, and then you have the send, of course. Here basically you can see that you can how do you call it, choose a wallet to send money, but of course here I have 0 transferable, here I have 4 Polkadot transferable on my Brave. So we will use Brave for me to send money to my other wallets, which is on Chrome. And the reason that you will initializing connections, interesting. The reason that you also see here, just for you to understand as well, if you go on address book, I have 416 dot here, but when you go on send, you see that I have 4. This is because the rest of the Polkadot I have basically staked, right? So there, I have to unstake them, and then they would be transferable, of course, as well. It's interesting that it's let me see, maybe if I close it and turn it back on, it's working a bit funny today. Let's see, if I just go on state, if I change blockchain, no, this is odd. Let's see if I do .js and I go to apps, initializing connection, waiting. This is interesting. It works. So here I have, it's here, so I'm not sure what is happening. Yes, I will take a look at what's happening later, of course, because it's but basically how it works, I'll do it here. I don't have any dot here, as you see, but we can still simulate it. On Polkadot, you have something that is also called existential deposit, right? So an existential deposit is how much dot you need to have in your address, Polkadot, in order for your address to be active. And for the moment, it's one Polkadot, which is $6. So in order for your wallets to be active, you have to have at least $6 in it. And the reason this is happening is because for cybersecurity reasons, normally you have something that is called dust attacks, right? So dust attacks are being used by hackers and by such colorful personalities in order to confuse, let's say, policemen or anyone else who may be working in cybersecurity or cybercrime and so forth. So let's say I'm a hacker and I hack 500 dots from a smart contract, right? I have this 500 dots, and now the police perhaps knows using their own software that I have this 500 dots, right? So what I can do is I can take 100 out of those 500, let's say, dots, and start sending it to very small, to like in very small quantities to different addresses, because then what happens is that the police or whoever looks at the hacker, they see that basically they're sending money to different addresses, and they kind of they can get a little bit confused as to who this address belongs to, right? But it can just be random addresses that the hacker does not even know. They just have the address, they send a small amount, and then the police may think that because the hacker sent a small amount to this address, the address is somehow correlated to the hacker, and that the person that owns this wallet may be basically a friend of the hacker, which is not the case, right? And this happens with, let's say, instead of sending 1 Bitcoin on Bitcoins, let's say, okay, Bitcoin is not a good example because Bitcoin is not you cannot basically hack Bitcoin or right. But if you would use, let's say, Ethereum, with Ethereum, what people can do is they can send a really small fraction of Ethereum, not one ether or half an ether, but 0.0001 ether, or a very small amount in order to confuse the policeman, right? On Polkadot, this is not possible because you have to have an existential deposit in order for your for your address to be active. So let's say if someone would send me less than 1 Polkadot, now my address, this one, is not active and it would not be able to receive it, right? But if you have 1 Polkadot, then basically it's possible to receive more than that. So in this case, let's say I would have 10 Polkadot or something. I can click on my address book. Here I have my own, let's say, address, my personal one. And here you can basically choose to send, let's say, 1 dot. Here you can also do transfer with account keep alive checks, right? So this basically means that, let's say I have 1.5 dots, hypothetically speaking here. If I would send 1 dot, this would mean that I'm remaining with half a dot, which is not the existential deposit that I need in order to keep my account alive or functioning, right? So when you have this off, this means that you're taking care that your account keeps being open by yourself, right? But if you click it on, this basically is done automatically. And you would basically see here that, you know, the account does not have enough free funds, excluding bonded and reserved, available to cover the transaction. Right, so kind of see this. And also, let's say if you would have, again, as I said, like less than the existential deposit, you would kind of see it here in order to do that, right? And of course here, since I do not, have the money to actually send it. I cannot send it, but the only thing that you basically need to do here after that, if you would have the money, is to click sign and submit. Once you click sign and submit, the wallet basically propagates the transaction into the whole network, and the network then takes the transaction and a validator adds the transaction to the blockchain. That's more or less how this one works in terms of, how do you call it? In terms of sending to someone money, right? But here you can also see, as I said, you have accounts and everything. Here you have governance and democracy, of course, as well. You have treasury. So if you would go to treasury, what treasury is basically whenever you do a transaction on Polkadot, you pay a small fee. A certain percentage of that small fee goes to what is called Polkadot treasury. And this treasury is basically owned by the whole, let's say, community of Polkadot, and you can vote on where you would like to see this money go. So sometimes some examples could be someone would like to organize an event and have Polkadot as a sponsor. They can make a proposal to the Polkadot treasury and say, hey, I would like to organize this event. I will have these many speakers. This will be the speakers. This is what Polkadot gets in return. I would need, I don't know, let's say $5,000 or $10,000 in order to organize this event. You put this in the treasury as a proposal, and people can, in the treasury, basically vote on that, right? Then you have democracy. The democracy basically is a little bit more technical things within the protocol itself instead of the treasury, which is less technical because it's more like funding certain things, right? And then you kind of have some other stuff here like RPC calls, runtime calls. I'm not sure we have enough time to go through all of them in detail for me to show you what basically each one of them means and everything. But what I would suggest is also, if you would like to, in your free time, you can go and Google each one of them or click on them and explore yourself how it basically works. It's not that difficult. It's basically very simple and very intuitive, of course, as well, when you would like to do, for instance, staking or something, of course, right? And so more or less that. Are there any questions so far?
Yeah.
Tell me.
So there's a question from Srinivasan who wants to know, is there any way to get back funds if funds are missing from the wallet?
In what, Srinivasan, what do you mean? What do you mean by funds missing in the wallet? Could you elaborate a little bit? Do you mean sending it to someone by mistake? Otherwise, or if someone would take, let's say, your funds, someone would get your private key and take your funds, if you could take them back. Is this what you mean, or do you mean something else?
Okay. So you're able to unmute, Srinivasan, you're able to unmute. Please unmute and ask your questions. Okay. So he has put it in the chat. It said if his wallet got hacked.
So there is no way for you to freeze the account of the hacker if you would get hacked, right? Let's say by hack in this case, let's say there are two main ways that you can get hacked with your private wallet, right? One is that someone gets your private key and they put it in and take the money. Another one is they create a malicious smart contract, which you connect your, how do you call it? Your wallet to, and then they kind of can get, how do you call it? Not control of it, but they could get the private key because it's still generated online. There are different ways that you can basically do this, right? But to answer your question, if someone takes the money and keeps them in their own wallet for forever, this means that you would never be able to take your money back. However, there are ways that you could still take it back, right? Especially if it is a huge sum. One of them is, let's say you have, I don't know, a really big sum or something, and someone hacks it, you can let Binance know, you can let Coinbase know, and so forth. And they kind of use different software, and you can tell them like, this address hacked my account. You can of course go to the police as well, but depending on where you live, the police may or may not be educated in these kinds of things, right? So you would have to go to Binance, to Coinbase, or any other centralized exchange that you may be using, and you can tell them like, hey, this wallet hacked my funds. They have the wallet, and if they see that the funds are being moved to one of these exchanges, what they can do is, since they are like banks, right? Centralized exchanges are like banks, they can freeze the money and give it back to you, right? So this is a way that you can basically get your money back. But other than that, it's very difficult to get your money back, or even impossible. I hope that answers the question.
Cool. Thank you, Alex. Could you do a demo of how to get the history of transactions over a period?
What do you mean? Of a certain wallet, you mean?
Yes, to get a history of transactions done on that wallet that you have created.
Yes. Well, I cannot do it on this one that I've created because there are no transactions to be seen.
Yeah.
But what I can do is I can use this one that I have, which is, let's say, my personal one, right? And one of the things that you can do here is, this is like the personal one that I'm using on Brave. As I said, you can click here, and there is this called Subscan. So you click on this, at least on Polkadot, right? On different chains, it's different. I'll show you also really quickly on Ethereum and on Bitcoin. It's a little bit different for each one of them. I think Subscan is the most straightforward one. So here you kind of can see, how do you call it? The wallet and everything. And here you see basically the transfers, right? You see when it was transferred, from who to whom, how much, and these kinds of things, right? So everything is public and everything. So that's how they, that's how Binance knows, and they can track, what do you call it, when the funds move, right? Because they use sophisticated software where they kind of can see and have a huge, let's say, database of all these things. So it doesn't, what should I say? So it's much more difficult. It's much easier for Binance or any other, let's say, exchange or company to look at these than me showing you here, because this is not, this is of course not software you have to go one by one, but certain software allows you to see it basically on a much bigger scale, right? But here you basically can see it. Then if you want to see the very same thing on Bitcoin or Ethereum, you can go on, what it was the name, blockchain.com. This is one block explorer. This is also like an exchange, and I'm not telling you to open an account here or anything. I'm not using it either, but it's a nice way of you basically to go on Explorer. And here you can basically see a lot of data, as you can basically see, right? But here, this is on Bitcoin. And here you can see all the latest transactions on the Bitcoin blockchain. As you can see, it's live, right? So all these transactions that you can see going up and down here are the latest transactions within the Bitcoin blockchain. So let's click on one of them. Can we click? Yes, Bitcoin transaction here, right? So you see that someone sent this amount which is this much dollars, to you kind of see hash basically, and here you can see certain things, right? So it's from, so they basically use different addresses, and to. So here it's a bit different with Bitcoin because it's a bit more complicated with Bitcoin, right? So what happens is, what Bitcoin does in order to give you more privacy is that you use, when you basically send money to someone, instead of having one address, it shows you two addresses, in which case basically it's sort of like it gives you two addresses, but in reality, it's just send it to one of them, right? So this is how it basically kind of works on Bitcoin. And then you can go on Ethereum, and you have the very same thing on Ethereum as well. Latest transactions, right? You kind of see here around the world all these transactions, and you can click on a random one. I said click on a random one, not this random one which has 0, something that okay. Okay, so we can see the amount here, 0.55 ETH, which is this much. And here, Ethereum is also a bit simpler than Bitcoin. You just see from this address to this address, basically, sort of these kinds of things. And that's how you kind of see it, right? It's a bit more complicated. Of course, I cannot go into depth in it because we don't have the time. It's out of scope of the course and everything, but you can basically see how it basically more or less works, right? And that's why I say like Polkadot is the most simple one to see, in at least in this case, because it's much more straightforward. You can see the block, meaning the number of the block in which the transaction is, right? Then you have the time when it happened, from, to, the value, and the result meaning whether the transaction occurred or it failed. Does that answer the question in one way or another?
Yeah, I think that was a detailed response.
Okay, wonderful.
Yeah, so another question here says, is there any way we can earn through mining or providing liquidity?
On Polkadot, do you mean, or generally?
On Polkadot.
Yes, so there are different ways that you can do this, right? You can go on here, basically you have staking, and you can do it through here if you would like to do this. Unfortunately, I don't have, as I said, money in this one, so you cannot do it. But basically other ways that you can use in order to stake Polkadot, this is, you can do it through a centralized exchange, or you can use, I think it's Akala that you can use, the DeFi hub of Polkadot, Akala.network, you use Akala. You click on the apps here, and you have liquid staking here. So you can stake your Polkadot here and get 1.3% API. And of course, I cannot stake here because I don't have DOT in this wallet, but basically you can click on how much DOT you want. And what happens here, liquid staking is a bit different than normal staking, because what happens is you stake your DOT, right? Let's say you have 100 DOT, you stake it, and you get this API. In return, you get what is called L DOT. This is another token that represents the token that you staked. And then you can use that token in order to, how do you call it? To trade or to buy certain stuff. And then the person that buys the L DOT from you can go on Akala and unstake the Polkadot that you staked and get it back. Does it make sense? I hope it makes sense. So that's how liquid staking works. Liquid staking basically is just you stake your Polkadot somewhere and you don't get something in return. In order to buy something or trade that Polkadot, you have to unstake it first. In this case, you do not have to unstake it because you get L DOT in return, which represents what, as I said, if you would stake 100 dot, you would get 100 L dot back, and each L dot represents 1 dot that you staked. And then you can use this L dot to trade, to buy certain stuff if you would like to, as I said, and the person that sells you, let's say, a product and gets the L dot can go on Akala and unstake the, how do you call it? The L dot. The dots, wait, to unstake the dots, give the automatically the L dot back and get the dot. Does it make sense?
Yeah. Thank you. Person says, thank you for that. So there's another question here regarding the hack that was asked earlier. So someone else is asking, is it possible to cancel the smart contract the hacker has attached to a wallet?
What do you mean cancel? Can you elaborate a little bit?
I think this person is trying to ask if it's possible to maybe dissociate your wallet from the smart contract so it doesn't have any effect or is not able to access the wallet anymore.
These are very strange questions that someone is asking, and I'm not sure why you're asking these questions. But anyhow, there are certain ways, right? Like, for instance, I don't know if you've been watching the news a year ago or so, but there was this Russian guy living in the Netherlands, and he created what is called a cryptocurrency mixer, right? So what a cryptocurrency mixer does is that it's when you want to do, let's say, a transaction, you use the mixer, and the mixer takes all the transactions being used by all the people using this application, and it basically, as the name says, mixes them up, and you cannot basically see whose transaction is whose, right? Like, it would be much more difficult than what we saw here on Polkadot, right? So this is a way that you can use in order to evade that and get more privacy, but it's a double-edged sword, and I'll tell you why it's a double-edged sword. Because for you and me, at least for me, hopefully for you too, you do not want to do something bad with that, right? So it's for you, it's more like a privacy thing. But what happened with that Russian guy is that since, you know, it's open and everyone can use Akala, so anyone can use the mixer, certain North Korean hackers went and mixed the funds that they stole or hacked in the mixer, and the US, I think, I don't remember, the Department of Justice or something, I don't remember, they thought that it was the Russian guy's fault, and the Dutch police arrested him, and now he's in prison. So yes, as I said, it's a double-edged sword because anyone can use it, and then you can have certain troubles, of course, right? But generally, this is like a very, how do you call it? It's a very rare case, and that's why it was also on the news. Normally, you should not have hackers doing this, like if you're a normal person. But yes, there are ways that you can disassociate in one way or another the smart contract with your address. I hope that, how do you call it? That answers the question. I do not want to show you how to do that, because you can maybe Google if you want to, I suppose, right? Because I don't know your intentions. But at the same time, I don't want to show it to you because I'm not sure why you're asking these questions.
Thank you. I think that answers the question.
Yep.
Okay. Okay, so this person has actually put a response in the chat and says the BNB wallet is hacked, and when he sends asset, it changes to, sorry, I'm not able to see it. Okay, that when he sends asset, it changes to wallet. I'm not sure. Kwabena, if you could raise a hand so I can ask you to unmute and then you can ask your question. Okay, I just did.
Yes, you can unmute yourself and ask me if you want to.
Yeah, hello.
Yes.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, please. My BNB wallet has a smart contract attached to it by the hacker. So when I send an asset, it changes it to the hacker's account
I
and it
see.
goes into his account.
Yes.
So I can trace and see his wallet with
Mhm.
few difference with mine.
Yes.
So that is what he's done. And I traced to a point and I'm unable to cancel the contract that he has attached to my wallet. That's why I'm asking if you could demonstrate.
Okay, like that. Okay, that's what you meant by canceling, I suppose, right?
Yeah. Or
Yeah,
if there's a way.
unfortunately, that is not possible. The only way that you could do this is if you had control over the smart contract of the hacker, which is very difficult to take, because the only way that you could do this, something like this, is if you knew who the hacker was and you knew where they are. So let's say they were in Belgium, right, where I am. You could call the Belgian police. The Belgian police ideally would be well versed in how to do that. So they can go to the hacker's home, they can arrest him, and then they can either order him somehow to do it, or how do you call it, cancel the contract themselves if it is a centralized contract, right? Otherwise, it's not possible. So what I would suggest for you is to just open a new wallet and send money to that wallet instead of using the old wallet that has been hacked by the hacker, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
try to
I'm
not
saying this
try to
because
not send money there, because as you said, everything that you how do you call it, that you send is being transferred to the other wallet. This is something that should also other people, let's say if you would use OpenSea sometimes, and if you buy NFTs or something, sometimes you will see NFTs in your wallet that you haven't bought, like sort of like an airdrop thing, right? Do not touch or interact with those NFTs because they are malicious and they can do the very same thing that Quabena basically is going through now, where they kind of get control. Everything that you basically send afterwards to that wallet can be sent to the hacker's wallet. So I hope that makes sense, and I hope that everyone is how do you call it? Well, more cautious when using smart contracts. What I would suggest is, I do not remember by heart the application, but maybe I can share it afterwards after I researched a bit. But there is an application now where you can install it on your wallet, and when you interact with a smart contract, you interact in a beta version where you kind of can see what will happen if you really click on that smart contract and interact with it, right? So that's something that is being basically how do you call it, worked on as well. I don't remember the application or if that application is even available for the moment. I just know that I've heard that it was in the works. So let me research a bit, ask my my connections as well to see what the name is, because it escapes me now, but there is basically an application where you can use your wallet and make a demo of what happens if you click on that button of a smart contract. And
thank you.
Like a simulation kind of thing. It doesn't happen in the real way. And if you see that, of course, if you interact with that smart contract and it steals your assets, then of course you should not click on that smart contract in real life.
Thank you very much. My challenge is MetaMask wallet, and I have other assets in. So taking the asset out has become a problem because I need BNB in there to enable me to transfer the other asset out. That is the challenge.
Your other assets are on the Binance Smart Chain then, right?
Yeah, in MetaMask.
I see.
But I need BNB in there to enable me to transfer it out of the wallet. He hacked only the BNB wallet.
But your all your other assets are on the Binance Smart Chain, because if it's on Ethereum, then it should, in theory, not influence the fact that you don't have Binance, that you don't have BNB. So everything should be on the Binance Smart Chain.
It's on MetaMask, and I was using BNB Smart Chain.
Okay, I see.
And that is what is hacked.
Well, for the moment, I don't have any quick fixes on that, right? Maybe.
Okay.
I don't
Thank you.
know.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's very difficult. Sorry that I can't help you with that.
Thank you very much. All right.
Thank you so much, Alex and Kwabena. We hope that you're able to find a solution to that. So there are no more questions here today. If there's anyone else who would like to ask a question, we have about 3 minutes before it's the top of time. Okay, so Alex, are you done with your presentation at this time?
Yes, I'm done entirely with this. So thank you everyone for coming. I hope it was interesting for everyone and that you learned something new. Yeah,
I did learn something too. And thank you once more, Alex, for joining us today. And great job to you all students who joined us today. We hope that you have learned something new, and we look forward to seeing and reading your key takeaways when you submit your claim your certificate form for this week's module.
Indeed.
And with that, we have come to today's demo presentation. Thank you, Precious and Melanie and Joy from the Unit Masters team. We look forward to seeing you next week. Don't forget to claim your certificate and attend the study group lead meeting, very important. So thank you.